Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining us today for the UCEAP Glasgow Summer Physics Program information session. And we are going to be listening today to our colleagues at the University of Glasgow, Kirsty McNeil. She's our international summer school coordinator. Welcome.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us. I know it's morning time for you over there, but it's 6 p.m. at night for me here, so thanks for joining so much. I am Kirsty. I am the International Summer School Coordinator at Glasgow, and I'm really happy to be here today to talk to you about the physics programs at Glasgow. So what I'm going to cover today is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Glasgow and the University of Glasgow, a little bit about Scotland as well, a little bit about the physics courses here, and also a little bit kind of tips for travelling, and also covering the support that's available for you here at Glasgow University. So about the University of Glasgow. So the University of Glasgow was established in 1451, so it's over 500 years old. It's a very old university. It's one of the oldest universities in the English-speaking world. We are a World Top 100 university, and we're very proud of that at Glasgow. And important to point out also that we are a member of the Russell Group. So the Russell Group in the UK is a group of research intensive universities. It's a kind of prestigious group to be in, basically. And we are also a very international university. We have students in Glasgow from all over the world, and we're very happy to welcome to Glasgow, including during the summer. So this is a picture just to give you an overview of the campus, and you can see in the very centre there, that is the main building. And that's just another angle of the main building there. So that's like the kind of, what you might know is like the kind of Hogwarts picture of Glasgow, if you've seen any of them. And it's a very iconic building in the Glasgow skyline. And you can also see our library there, which is 13 floors. And we are also very lucky to have 3 museums on campus too. So there's plenty to do outside of your studies when you're here. And I also just wanted to highlight one of our newest buildings, which is the James McCune Smith building, or the JMS. And this is the building where our summer physics courses actually take place. So you can kind of get a sense of where you would be if you come to Glasgow. It's got an amazing viewing platform that you can go out on, and it's just a really great facility. It's got a cafeteria where there'll be a meal plan arranged there. It's just a really nice place to kind of hang out on campus. And I also just wanted to highlight the university library as well, the kind of facilities that are there for you. So the university library is a very tall building. Maybe you're not one for studying in a library, that's okay, but I would really recommend if you come here to go up to the very top. It's got an amazing skyline view over Glasgow. And if you do come here, you'll be very lucky because during the summer it's quite quiet. It's very easy to get a study space. It's quite a peaceful, kind of relaxing place to be, I think. And we know that sports are obviously very important to people that are coming to Glasgow and coming to other universities. So we do have some great facilities, and these are on our main campus, so they're very close to where you'll be studying. So we've got a swimming pool, there's a cardio suite, strength and conditioning, this kind of things. There are exercise studios. There's lots of classes that you can join in as well, like intense cycling classes that seem to be quite popular with people these days. Haven't been to one myself, but I hear they are very good. So the price there at the bottom is just to give you an indication for an additional cost that would be for the gym. That's last year's cost. And to convert that to dollars, I think is about $22. So it's not very expensive. It probably will change next summer, but probably not by much. So that can give you a kind of indication of that cost. So Glasgow is the third largest city in the UK. It's not a massive city, probably compared to where you're coming from, but it is big. It's got, all the facilities you'd want in a city. It's a very walkable city. It's got good public transport within. It's got a subway system. It's one of the oldest subway systems in the world. Going round it, although they have modernised it a little bit. It's not some ancient carriages you'll be going round, but good experience while you're here. Also, Glasgow's very well linked to the rest of Scotland, so you can get a train to Edinburgh, and it's under an hour to get to Edinburgh. If you want to visit there, if you come to Glasgow, it's not very expensive either. And if you wanted to go kind of further north, do some exploring, you can also get the train to Loch Lomond, which is a really kind of beautiful nature spot. And you can do that in under an hour. So you can see that with very little effort, you can kind of get out and about across Scotland. So just to tell you a little bit more about Glasgow as well, the number one thing everyone says about Glasgow is it's just such a friendly city. People are very willing to chat and talk to you, which I know is maybe very different from other cities around the world. It feels normal to me. It's the kind of city that if you're looking at directions on your phone or something, somebody will come up to you and they'll say, do you need a hand finding somewhere, that kind of place. It's also a really good place if you like shopping. There's lots of kind of boutique stores, but there's also charity shops or like vintage shops that you can go into as well. And we also have lots of kind of beautiful parks and nature kind of places very nearby the campus as well. There's some really lovely spots. I was actually in one today and it was quite, it's a kind of autumnal weather now or fall weather now, but during the summer, if it's bright and sunny, you can pop out from your class and, have a coffee outside in the park. There's lots of squirrels running about and stuff, really lovely. We're also a city of music, so every week in Glasgow there are like hundreds of gigs and live concerts and this sort of thing. You can see in the background of this picture is some of our kind of music venues. It's something that Glasgow is actually really well known for. So if that's your thing, Glasgow is a great city to be in. So the university is located in Glasgow's West End, which is a kind of very distinct area of the city. It's a really lovely part of the city. You can see it in the background there. That's a picture of a little lane called Ashton Lane, which is just behind the university. And it's just a very kind of cultural place. There's a lot going on. There's lots of little nice shops, little cafes, independent bookstores and cafes to go in just if you're down in your free time and things like that. There's also a really brilliant museum just next to the campus in the West End, which is free to go into, which I really recommend you do if you come to Glasgow. That's called the Kelvingrove Art Gallery and Museum. And we also have the Botanic Gardens, and that is really near the residences that a lot of the students stay at. So I really recommend that if you come here, it's a great place if you enjoy nature. So a little bit about Scotland as well. If you know anything about Scotland, you'll know that it's got like absolutely fantastic scenery. And it's really one of my favourite things about living here is how accessible that is. Whether you rent a car or you're using public transport, it's quite easy to get out and about. And you can go on hikes. Actually, I think that one of the professors on the course, Eric, I think he organises normally a group hike for everyone. So you'll be able to get a chance to go out with your classmates and experience nature in Glasgow. And we also have, it's like a kind of historic country. We have a lot of architecture and castles. If that's your sort of thing that you like doing in your free time, there'll be plenty of opportunity for you to do something like that if you were to come to Scotland. And I just thought I would include some pictures because it's a nice way to see the place. So I mentioned the Botanic Gardens. The picture in the top left-hand corner is the Botanic Gardens there, and the other pictures are just places around Glasgow that you can visit. And these pictures are pictures of the top left-hand corner is the skyline of Edinburgh, and the top right-hand corner is a kind of famous bridge in Scotland, which now everyone just knows as the Harry Potter Bridge. It does have a proper name, but let's just call it that for now. And the bottom one is the Edinburgh Castle you can see there. And some Scottish nature pictures as well, a lot better. So the bottom one is puffins. That would be a little bit more difficult. You'd probably need to get a boat if you wanted to see puffins. But the top one is a Highland cow or a Highland coo. And there's a park in Glasgow with Highland cows that you can go and see very easily. And in the summertime, there'll be baby calves as well, which was so cute. So a really short note on climate, because it is obviously different from where you would be coming from. Not terribly hot, good for getting out and about, good for walking around. So it's about, in summer, if we were saying it was a really warm day in Glasgow, that would be about 20 degrees or 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'll just share a little bit of information about the courses that you can do, the physics courses you can do at Glasgow during the summer. So we've got two courses. We've got physics for life scientists and physics for engineers. And here is some kind of key information about the courses here. So they're 8 weeks long. And I've also put the arrival date here, when you would have an orientation, when your classes will start, when they would finish, and also the accommodation checkout date. This information is also on the University of Glasgow Summer School website, and I will pass the information on to colleagues at UCEAP so they can have it on their site as well, whatever way is the easiest for everyone to get their information. But those are the key dates there. And just to point out, the arrival date is quite important because we run an airport pickup if you arrive between certain hours on the arrival date. So if you are planning to come and you want to have like the easiest, most seamless arrival in Glasgow, it's best to arrive on that day. But if you have to arrive out with that for various reasons, we can still support you in getting from the airport to accommodation. So a little bit about the physics class structure and format. So it's what's called a kind of flipped classroom. So this is not like a kind of traditional way that you might learn normally. There are no lectures as part of this. And also to note that it is an intensive course, but there is lots and lots of contact time and support. I think that from talking to students from the summer just past, that was something that a lot of them really highlighted, is how well supported they felt by not only the Professor Eric, but also by the teaching assistants who become a big part of your life over summer, with how much they support you and how much they give you information about the course. And they also can tell you good places to go in Glasgow and sort of things like that too. So this has just been included to give you a kind of idea of what a typical week would look like. So you can see there's some kind of reading test at the start of the week, and then there's a drop-in session. There's tutorials, there's lab work, this sort of thing. You can kind of see by looking at that there's lots of time where you'll be working as within a group, and lots of time where you'll be able to get support. And to point out that on Fridays you have no class time. So if you want to explore Scotland, explore Europe, take the chance to do weekend trips, hikes, whatever, you will have absolutely time to do that. So you will be obviously busy and studying during the week, but there is a lot of time at the weekend for you to travel. So just a very brief note on accommodation. So accommodation is absolutely guaranteed for all summer school students. You will be staying with other summer school students who are also studying your physics course as well, so that will help you kind of make friends, have a kind of tight-knit community. All of our accommodation is walking distance to main campus, so between about 15 minutes to a 20-minute walk to campus. Your utilities, Wi-Fi, and a kind of basic insurance package is included in the cost of accommodation, and you will also have bed linen and basic kitchen supplies here in Glasgow, so you wouldn't need to be bringing or buying things like that when you're here. And also within our accommodation, we have trained pastoral staff who live on site and can give support 24/7 for you. So just briefly, some kind of tips in travelling and pointing out the support here at Glasgow for our summer school students. So Glasgow is fairly well connected by air. So you can see that you can get to London in just over an hour. You can get to Amsterdam in just under 2 hours. And also if you're flying, I mean, it'll be a longer time than 7 hours if you're flying from California. But we are fairly well connected. We're even better connected by train. So, like I said, you can get to Edinburgh in under an hour, but you can also get to London if you fancied a trip to London, or if you need to do a connecting flight from London, or a connecting train from London. We are well connected. So before you arrive in Glasgow, you will have obviously the support that you would get from the UCEAP staff, but Glasgow is also happy to help you with any questions or anything like that before you arrive. And while you're here, there is support for you the full time, 24/7. There is international student support here. We have a doctor's surgery on campus that we will help you to figure out how to register with when you get here. We have a disability service that we will also help you if you need to register with them. Career service probably not so relevant, but we also have student counselling and psychological services should you need to engage with any of them while you're here. We have a chaplaincy service which engages with all the major world religions if you would like to engage with that, and also English language support. So as part of the International Summer School, we run a kind of social and cultural programme, and so this is to help you learn as much as you can about Scotland and Scottish cultures while you're here for a relatively short amount of time. It also means that you can engage with other people not only on your course, but also we'll have other summer school courses running with people from around the world. So we had a lot of students from China last year, and also a big group of students from Saudi Arabia. We always have students from Singapore. You can have a kind of truly international experience, even though the physics program will be students only from the USA. So like I said, we run the airport arrival kind of welcome service on arrival day to take you to your accommodation. And then the next day we run an orientation day. So we will welcome you to campus. You will get a campus tour around our campus, and you'll get a welcome pack, and we'll give you all the information you need to have a kind of safe and fun time while you're here at Glasgow. And after that, we will run weekly social events, like I said, with other summer school students. And so this could be things like quizzes, karaoke, treasure hunts, maybe sports activities, this kind of thing, so that you can truly let your hair down outside of your studies. We will also run a day trip, and I've just put Scottish Castle there. It's not been confirmed where we're going, but the chances of it being to a castle are very high. So we'll give you that information and make sure you can kind of mark that date in your calendar. We will also run, probably in your first week that you arrive, a Scottish Ceilidh. I'm going to guess that most people don't know what a Ceilidh is, but a Ceilidh is it's a very, very Scottish experience, and it's like a a big dance that everyone does, like lots of different dances, and we have traditional Scottish music playing, and we will have somebody on stage who will call out different dance instructions so that you know what to do. So you can Google what a ceilidh looks like, or you can come totally unprepared and just have a great time. You will have all the instructions. It's always something students say is an absolute highlight of their trip, and it's a really good way to engage with Scottish culture. And just I'll really quickly mention that there is a meal plan included for physics students. So if you do come here, don't be surprised on the first day when we give you a token that's got your meal plan vouchers on it. And that will give you breakfast, lunch and dinner every day within the GMS building that I mentioned earlier on, except from Friday dinner. So I've just put this up here, just to give you a really brief indication of what the cost of living is like in Glasgow, to help you kind of maybe mentally start budgeting these sort of things. Glasgow is a very affordable city, and we will have a proper accommodation cost confirmed for your time in Glasgow very soon. But otherwise, you can see there the food price, clothes price, this kind of thing. It is, you know, fairly reasonable. Although I'm not sure if you'll be able to convert that in your head to dollars. I know I would struggle with that, but hopefully that can give you at least an initial guidance on the kind of cost per living here. We've just got a picture there. So I think this is students out on one of Eric's, Dr. Eric's hikes. That is Dr. Eric Yao in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see there. So this is just a couple of quotes from students who have taken part in the programme. And one more quote there from a student. And you can see the students are all playing football there, because Dr. Eric organises his own kind of sports activities to help his students really bond together, to help the physics students really bond. So we are happy for you to get in touch if you have any questions about the summer school, about studying physics at Glasgow. Even if they're questions that I can't answer, I'll be able to find someone hopefully who can help answer the questions. And like I mentioned earlier on, we have a website that's got a lot of the information, key information that you would need to know about the programme. So that's me finished now. Hopefully I've covered most of the things that you'll need to know, but I'm happy to take any questions from people.
Thank you so much, Kirsty. I'm going to read some of the questions that we're getting. Can you repeat the dates of the program again?
Yeah, hold on, and I'll see if I can just go back to that slide and pull them up for people to have a look at. So the course is 8 weeks. The arrival date is Thursday, the 19th of June. Orientation the next day. Classes starting the following Monday. And then classes finishing on Friday, the 16th of August. And then the accommodation checkout is the morning after that.
Can you take any additional courses or only the physics class?
I would say the physics course is, because it is an intensive program, we wouldn't recommend that people take another course while they're here.
Okay, and I've invited the campus advisors from UC Irvine and UCLA to join us for any of the campus-specific questions.
I was just going to add, Amy, for the student who asked about taking additional courses at UC, we call that concurrent enrollment. And that would not be something that we could support with this accelerated program unless Bonnie or Kelly want to override me, and I know they don't, but just giving you the opportunity to, if you want. This is an accelerated or compressed summer physics program, and so for those 8 weeks, students will be more successful if they are only engaging with physics. So if there was like a late term at your campus's summer that started after this program ended, I'm not sure if Bonnie's saying like that might be possible, like because we're on the quarter system, right? And this program is going to be earlier in the summer. So you might be able to go back to your campus after this program ends and take summer session 3 or 5 or whatever it's called on your campus if you wanted to tack on another class. But while you're enrolled in this program and you're on site in Glasgow, you would just be taking these 2 physics classes. And I kind of chuckle when I say just, because like that's not an easy task. That's not oh yeah, I'm just going to be taking these 2 physics classes. That is an intense full-time workload. So we would encourage students to just stick with those 2 physics classes in this program.
And not any, another question about internships or a part-time job on the side during the program.
No, we can't support internships, and I don't believe students would have legal status to work while they are abroad. Yeah, Chrissy's saying no. So yeah, you don't have legal status to work in the UK, Scotland, Ireland, anywhere. And the program does not support an internship. This is going to be a full-time. Students are going to be spending at least 30, probably 35, maybe close to 40 hours a week in class, tutorials, labs, homework, study time. There are some program excursions and things built in as well, but in terms of academic curriculum, it's going to be full-time. You're doing 20 weeks of coursework in 8 weeks. And so it's going to be a full-time experience that students won't really have time or an opportunity to dedicate to other academic internships jobs.
Yeah, so we encourage you, if you're interested in an internship, to look forward to doing it a different summer. I see a question in the chat about how difficult are the classes compared to Physics 5A and 5B at UCLA. I will say the question is more what caters best to your learning style, because this one is a flipped classroom approach. And I think Amber explains that a lot better than I do. So I'll let her elaborate on that. But I would think about your learning style as a student, your learning needs. UCLA is very much a traditional lecture. You know, you're in a large classroom with a bunch of other students, and then you have your discussions once a week. And the learning modality is a lot different here. So I would think more about that. I wouldn't think about difficulty, but I would think about, as a student, what kind of environment do you do best in?
Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying there, Kelly, and the pedagogy for the program is a little bit different. But before I get into that, I just dropped into the chat, excuse me, a link to the academic subpage for the program. And if students were to scroll down to the academic culture section, they can see a week by week outline of what students will be engaging in. So each week there'll be 2 3-hour class sessions, 2 3-hour labs, 2 3-hour small group tutorials, and 2 2-hour problem solving workshops. You'll have an exam every week, and you'll do approximately 12 hours of study per week for about 35 hours per week to be successful in the series. And I know that was a lot of numbers, so you might be better off go ahead and go into that academic culture section so you can see it, as opposed to trying to understand what I was trying to lay out in terms of times table structure. But I would say that workload is probably pretty consistent with what you would experience if you were taking a summer 5-week physics class. So I think the important thing to remember is this is an accelerated program, so it's going to move faster than if you were in a 10-week quarter. It would be a little bit more analogous to thinking about taking a physics class during your summer session, which generally at the UC campuses are 5 weeks. And so the first step would be thinking, if you're very uncomfortable with accelerated coursework, then that would be something to consider, that this might not be the right fit if you're feeling 10 weeks is too fast, which we hear often from like a community college transfer student who's used to the semester system. They're like, wow, this 10 weeks is really fast. Then going into a 4-week class might really feel intense. But the benefit of that is you're only doing physics. And so you have nothing else to distract you, and you can really engage with the 4-week part A and then 4 weeks for part B. You're not also having to keep up with all of your at-home responsibilities, whatever you're kind of required to do within your home structure or in your on-campus living. You're going to be void of all of those other distractions. So although it is compressed, it's the only thing you're doing. You're really just kind of all in on physics, and you're there with a bunch of other people who are having this shared experience, and you're all very focused on completing your physics coursework. But as Kelly mentioned, the flipped classroom is a little bit different. So Glasgow uses a very traditional flipped classroom, a little bit different than the way that like UCLA or a UC campus would provide flipped classroom, where you might watch a video ahead of time. A traditional flipped classroom is going to be referencing your textbook, your text manuals before you come to class. And then your classroom time is not going to be a lecture. It's going to be time to work through the material that you would have prepared for coming into those class times. So you'll notice that in the academic structure, it says class sections, not lectures. So you're not ever going to experience a lecture component, which is, you know, an instructor standing in front of the class and just dictating information to you. You're going to be working with your material, kind of getting your hands dirty, so to speak, really engaging with the material and doing a lot more problem solving and understanding your information than just a lecture regurgitation model. And so this is a little bit uncomfortable for students when they start a program, because they're doing so much group work, they're working with other students, APs, with your faculty. It's a very kind of professionally intimate experience where you're really learning the material and how to apply the material and not just regurgitate it. So there's a little bit of a transition that is required for students to modify their UC learning into this more flipped classroom contingent learning style. So we see some transitional hiccups in the first week a little bit, but then students, they start to get it, they get in the rhythm, and we're finding students are leaving the program with a deeper understanding of their physics than if they were in a more traditional lecture regurgitation modality. So it's very powerful, but it is a learning curve and adjustment for students to make as they're coming into a different pedagogical model here. So that may have been more information than you wanted to know, or maybe not as clear as I would like it to be. So I could certainly chat with any students that want to discuss this further. And we'll also be on your campuses next week, which we could do a shameless plug for a little bit later, where we could talk more about this in person if you all would like.
Thank you. Kelly, would you start by talking about how financial aid works at the UCLA campus? The tuition for these programs is paid to the University of California, since you'll be a University of California student, a UCEAP student on this program. And financial aid at campuses is handled differently on each campus. So first, let's hear from Kelly, please.
Sure, absolutely. So for students to receive financial aid, they have to fill out the FAFSA. So make sure that in January, when it becomes available, that you fill it out by the priority deadline. And then we let the financial aid office know which students will be going abroad, and they will provide a package for you. Now, what's within that package will depend on your situation. In the summer, it's important to note that the Cal grants are not available, and then any grants under the Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan are not available. But there might be other grants and scholarships that you can apply. And then loans, they will provide loans usually for to make up the difference. Now, we do encourage you to be proactive. There are scholarships you can apply to. The information's on our website, and I'll put the link in the chat after I'm done talking. Do that. You also have time to save up. You know, when I was a student, I know I had a couple of part-time jobs, and I would save up for my study abroad in the summer. So those are some things you can do. There is a webinar with the financial aid office next Tuesday. at noon, and I'll put that in the chat as well. They're the experts and they can tell you exactly how, maybe not like speak to you directly in that session, but they could tell you more about how they put together packages for students in the summer.
UCI, the summer 2025 is actually part of your 24-25 financial aid package. So you've all hopefully done your FAFSA already, completed that already. And so it is limited aid. If anything, here at UCI, it's mostly loans for students that are offered. But for details, you can go in any time to speak to the financial aid office. We do have an email that you can also use to connect with the staff there who work with our study abroad students to get an idea for your case, since they already have your award.
Thank you. Is there any immigration documentation we need to complete? I believe there is going to be, Christina?
I think I can answer that, though I will say it's changing slightly this year. So what the best thing for me to say is that information will be added to our website. You will need to apply for, it's not a visa, it's like travel permission. And that is different to what it's been like in previous years. And I believe the cost is something like $20 or thereabouts, and decisions should be made pretty quickly, but the information is not quite complete from the UK side here, and I'm not talking about us, I mean the powers that be. So I will have that information on the website when it's available, but everyone will need to do something, whereas in the past a lot of people didn't need to apply for anything.
Thank you. And here at UCEAP, we will send out a notification once the government decides what kind of permission requirement that they'll need before you travel. We'll be sure to keep students informed. How do these program dates compare to the Dublin program dates? These program dates start on June 19th and end on August 17th for Glasgow, and the Dublin program is June 15th to August 9th. Would you recommend this program for students who have no prior physics knowledge and have never taken a physics class in their lives?
So
Go ahead.
Actually, Amber can answer this.
Sure. Yeah, I think that we have multiple programs for physics, but this program with all of our programs for physics, they don't require students to have foundational knowledge in physics. The prereqs for the programs is calculus. So calculus is going to be more of your foundation for being successful in physics coursework, whether that's on your campus, your home campus, or in one of our physics programs abroad. So I'll put some links into the chat for like math readiness assessments. That would be the bigger piece that I would encourage students to self-assess or brush up on before they've completed the program or engaged in the program. But you will have to take at least 2 quarters of calculus at your home institution and earn C grades or higher in those courses. But having presupposed knowledge in physics itself is not required to be successful in this program. So there's not an expectation that you've taken like high school physics or AP physics. Certainly, if you have some type of physics credit already, we should also look into that to make sure that you're not duplicating any credit here. But I've been in higher ed for 16 years, and I think I've only seen 1 or 2 students that have physics AP credit. It's very rare. Most likely none of you all do. You may have taken a physics class in high school, but it's pretty rare to see physics AP credit, at least with my experience at UC Riverside. So that wouldn't be an expectation, but definitely math, having strong math and calculus skills. So I'll put some math readiness resources in the chat.
And how many UC students usually participate on this program?
I can take that question, and Amber or someone can correct me if I'm wrong. So this summer just passed, we had 25 or so, although I think that was a kind of unusually small cohort. I think we had, I'm going to say close to 70 the year before. So I would say in your mind, somewhere between 25 and 70 students would be a rough guide, although I know that's two quite different numbers.
Thank you. If there's any other questions, I think we've answered them all. So I'll ask Bonnie to let us know when your fair is if students are interested in learning more.
Yes, great. As you can see, where is it? Right here. On Monday is our Go Abroad Fair from 11 to 3 in the Student Center Emerald Bays. If you use the QR code, you can pre-register. You don't have to pre-register, but it does allow you extra chances for some really nice raffle prizes. And we will have representatives there at the fair from the various physics UCEAP summer programs. The next day, there will also be an in-person information session presented like this, but with all of the locations at the same time being discussed and shared. So please check that out.
And the staff here too at that in-person event, if any students want to speak with myself, or we'll have some other staff and faculty with us. Kirsty will be there as well. So if you want to chat with us in person, I would love to meet you all on Tuesday. I'll be at UCLA on Tuesday with Kirsty, and then we'll be at UCLA on Wednesday.
And UC Irvine on November 19th at 11:30 a.m.
Yeah, and our session is November 20th at 3:30 p.m.
And I put the math readiness assessment into the chat. I'm not sure it's copying the correct link. So if anybody's having trouble with that, I could try sending it again, or I'll put my email into the chat. It doesn't seem to be copying the correct public facing link for me for some reason.
The link works, they're saying.
Oh, it does? Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
And then what time on Wednesday and where? Which session was that one? At UCLA?
Yeah, I just put the link. It's 3:30 p.m. and it's gonna be in Bunch Hall on the 10th floor. 10383, I believe. Copying it.
Okay,
I didn't put
thank
the
you.
right link. Maybe I didn't. No, I did. That's the correct link in there. So it's Bunch Hall, 10th floor, 10383.
All right, I think we'll go ahead and conclude this information session. And would like to say thank you to Kirsty for joining us this evening from Glasgow and for this excellent information session. We really appreciate your time today. And likewise, thank you to UC Irvine and UCLA for joining us today to give more information to students who might be interested in this program. And before we go, I would like to let everyone know that our website is now accepting applications. As of this morning, about an hour ago, our website opened. So if you are interested in applying for this program, please go to our website. I'll put it in here in the link in here and submit an application. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.